Good audience. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, regardless from the geographical location that you're taking part in this particular webinar. I'm your host, Bekim Daoudi, and then we're going to be very much working together on this particular webinar. Okay, if you're ready, I'm ready too. Okay, yes, empower the workforce with the Copilot for the Microsoft 365, or as just recently is being actually named Microsoft 365 Copilot. I see a question. Murtaza says, "Hi, do you have the recordings of these sessions that we can watch at a later time?" Yes, to my understanding, we do have the recordings, as this particular webinar is also being recorded as well. Okay, but more on that particular question, yes, we will be providing to you shortly. My colleagues are going to be taking care to provide you more on the information. Okay, moving on forward. Okay, let's initially usually get to run a presentation, which is going to be quite interesting, insightful as well. Okay, not boring, not long. Okay, because we have plenty of the hands-on activities as far as the using the Copilot. Okay, so yes, we are moving on forward with the presentation just shortly. Okay, so yes, once again, welcome to this webinar. And as you can notice on this particular slide, which is of course the title slide, the content in here is actually being explored from the official course of the Microsoft. During the webinar, I'm going to be very much providing you the useful links as well. Okay, so let's have a look at the agenda. Yes, we have two models. The first one is going to be very much into the Copilot itself from the perspective of the concepts. What is the Copilot? Okay, and then going into the history of the artificial intelligence initially, and then machine learning, and then deep learning to finally come to the generative AI or the GPTs, generative pre-trained transformers. To then, of course, take on that particular solely discussion regarding the Copilot. Okay, what is the Copilot, especially the Microsoft 365 Copilot, and then how it works. Okay, what's so special about the prompts? Okay, remember that we have something which is called prompt engineering, and which is actually all about the techniques that we're going to be using in order to craft effective prompts. Because the more effective the prompt is, the more of a the more of a success we get actually from that output that the Copilot is going to be generating. And definitely we're going to be exploring some of the possibilities for the Copilot for the Microsoft 365 as well. In the model 2, which is solely all hands-on, okay, we're going to be indeed exploring some of the use cases because it aligns with the character of this particular and content of this particular webinar. So we're going to be indeed pretty much exploring various types of the use cases. That is very much organized in terms of the roles within the workplace. So we're going to be having some executive use cases, HR use cases. We're going to be having finance use cases, operations, marketing, and of course, some of the challenges use cases as well. Okay, by the very end of this webinar, as usual, we're going to be sharing with you the achievement code, okay, and also like the link through which you're going to be very much telling us how we've actually done in this particular webinar, okay? The content of a webinar, the platforms such as the Microsoft Teams that we're using for the webinar, okay, myself, okay, how well did I perform, and etc. and etc. Why? Because no matter how well we do, always there's actually room for improvement, and with your censored feedback, we can indeed improve ourselves further and further. Okay, moving on forward. Yes, the audience profile, definitely. Right at the beginning, we're just telling that this is actually very much targeted towards the business users, especially the ones who are very much interested to enhance the Copilot for the Microsoft 365 skills in order to be able to solve the business-related use cases scenarios. Okay, so yes, we would be very much interested to find out from you whether you're using the Microsoft 365 Copilot. Okay, so then when the time comes actually to explore those particular use cases, you can, in parallel with me, actually work as well. Okay, so yes, use the chat box of the Microsoft Teams platform when we're actually running this particular webinar to tell us yes, no, whether that you are actually using the Microsoft 365 Copilot. So we're saying Microsoft 365 Copilot, okay, or no, okay, and then pretty much then that very much is going to be helping us to get to know where we stand from the perspective of moving on forward with the activities. Okay, so the idea here is actually we have various roles within the organization. Okay, and then yes, we do have the HR, we do have the marketing office departments, dependable upon the size and the structure, organizational structure of that particular organization. Okay, so the HR, the marketing, and of course the finance, and then we have the IT, we have the operations, okay, the middle management, the top management, and the various offices, various departments as well, and with it actually various roles as well. The idea here is actually to empower each and a particular user within the organization with an aim to increase the productivity. Okay, so that's the very aim of this webinar. And in general, that's actually the purpose of the very tool, such as the AI model called the Copilot. Moving on with the very first model, introduction to the Copilot for the Microsoft 365. Okay, initially we're going to be very much getting to know the history. Okay, so as you are aware, everything actually started in back in the 50s. Okay, well, for the first time, the artificial intelligence concepts were actually laid down by the well-known scientist John McCarthy. Okay, he's actually the guy that coined the term artificial intelligence, although in fact everything started with the Alan Turing. Okay, he actually attempted to create that very first initial machine, which was actually very much into the artificial intelligence. But remember, 50s, that was period of a time of the concepts more rather than some real implementation. And if you take the year from that particular decade to now, well, there is actually in between 70 years. Okay, now that we actually have these particular AI models, which we're using actually on a daily basis in order to be able to run various operations within the workplace. Then pretty much in this particular timeline, we have then the machine learning. Okay, what's the machine learning? Well, from this particular very graphic over here on the left-hand side of this slide, we can see that machine learning is actually the subset of the artificial intelligence. In fact, it's a way how we actually train the AI models. But in fact, what is within the machine learning? Within the machine learning is actually the algorithms, okay? And indeed, today we have very advanced algorithms which are enabling to train the AI models. And of course, pretty much get what we have nowadays, okay? But we humans did not stop in the exploration into the innovations, everything regarding to the artificial intelligence. So we came then, of course, to the deep learning, okay? What is the deep learning? Pretty much, actually, in somehow we wanted to replicate the human brain into the AI models as well. Okay, so that's very much the deep learning actually represents within the AI models, is that the very inner process of pretty much the prediction itself, which is actually coming out of these AI models. Since I did mention the prediction concept, well, what we've been having so far as far as the machines, okay, intelligent machines, well, pretty much we've had like the computers, for instance, we've had the instruction-based machines, okay, or devices. But now with the AI models, okay, what we have is we have actually prediction or predictive based devices or machines or tools, and that's very much the case of the Copilot in this case. And then here we are within the generative AI. Okay, when we speak about the generative AI, we actually talk about the narrow AI model, okay, which is very much task oriented. Okay, and then if we take the example of a Copilot, indeed the Copilot itself is task oriented. That's, as we've noted earlier, the idea is to empower the users in order to increase the productivity. So you can think of a productivity tool as well. Okay, so yes, it is indeed. And yes, quite often I'm actually mentioning the fact that even the name itself is telling us that it's the co-pilot. Okay, usually when we fly with the airplanes, okay, there's a pilot and a co-pilot as well. If the pilot, he or she, is very much responsible to actually drive that particular plane, okay, next to him or her is actually sitting the co-pilot. So then take this sort of the analogy or the example and then put it into yourself, okay, and then you as the user within your workplace, within your organization, are very much interested to increase your own productivity with the daily routines. Okay, so then in that, from that very perspective, then definitely we can then rely, we can utilize or leverage accordingly the Copilot in order to make sure that we are indeed increasing the productivity. Or pretty much then assign some tasks to the co-pilot, so then some precious time we can then devote it for some more creativity within the organization. Moving on forward, Microsoft 365 Copilot. Yes, as the name indicates, this is an AI model which is used within the Microsoft 365 apps and services. The initial launch of the Microsoft Copilot was very much into the Office 365 itself, namely like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, and of course then the Teams as well. But now when we look into the portfolio of the Copilots within the Microsoft 365, and we see that there's actually the numbering of the apps and services that are empowered by the Copilot is actually pretty much not as it was initially, but of course has increased. At the same time, we're telling that Microsoft is not actually stopping at this current situation. It's striving to bring more and more co-pilots within the Microsoft 365 as well. Remember, remember that the cloud computing of the Microsoft is called Azure. And when we look into the inner structure of the Azure, we actually identified three main pillars, if I can say like that. The Microsoft 365, the Dynamics 365, and Azure itself. Okay, so we have the Microsoft 365 apps and services. And again, according to the Microsoft, we are in between 200 to 300 apps and services. I'm not telling that all these apps and services are actually having a Copilot, but of course, it doesn't of a number of the apps and services within the Microsoft 365, it actually being equipped with a Copilot. And like I said, Microsoft is still actually attempting to bring more of a Copilot, at the same time enhancing the existing Copilot within the Microsoft 365. Then we have the Dynamics 365, which is all about the enterprises, okay, information systems, ERP, CRM, supply chain management, SCM, and etc. They do have the co-pilots as well, okay. But then within the Azure, not the cloud computing, but of course the Azure pillar, where we actually provision the services. Like for instance, Microsoft 365 and the Dynamics 365 are actually bringing us, or Microsoft is providing to us out of the box services. In the Azure pillar, we actually then provision our own services. Definitely we do planning and designing and then establish something which is very well known as infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service, database as a service, Windows as a service, network as a service, security as a service, and etc. and etc. and etc. Okay, so that even within the Azure, we do actually have the Copilot as well. But let's come back into the Microsoft 365. So which actually going to be very much focused in this particular part within this particular webinar. So what we have within the Microsoft 365 is that we have the components such we have the Copilot, okay, and then of course we have the Microsoft Graph, and we have the large language models as well. Initially, the large language models is telling us that a big amount of data has been used by Microsoft in order to train this AI model, okay? Whether this process is actually working, stopping here? No, it's actually something called a work in a progress. So it's an ongoing attempt in order to fine tune it and fine tune it and fine tune it. For what reasons? In order to increase the rate of the accuracy of the responses that we get it from the Copilot. So that's the aim. Okay. And in this regard, we need to mention the fact that the data of the organization is not being used to train the Copilot. Okay. At the same time, based on the 6 principles of the ethical behavior and the responsible AI, which Microsoft has established, and of course is very much looking in terms of the adhering to these particular 6 principles, Copilot is actually protecting the data of the organization as well. Why? Because it's solely using the enterprise-grade security, which Microsoft is actually providing within the cloud computing environment of the Azure. What is the Microsoft Graph? Well, pretty much when we interact with the Copilot, definitely we enter the prompt, okay? A Copilot system is receiving that particular prompt, and then the inner architecture is very much actually then addressing that particular prompt back and forth to the large language models and Microsoft Graph. Because we're going to be, say for instance, like I'm working within the Microsoft Outlook, okay, and I want to schedule with the Copilot a meeting, okay, or say that I'm very much going to be generating a report in the Microsoft Word document, okay, and then so I need to reference a particular document which is within the OneDrive, or and the reference a document which is within the libraries within the SharePoint. So then Microsoft Graph is actually that particular unified platform which is helping to grab the data and then establish these, bringing in actually these particular connectors in order to interrelate and interoperate various apps and services within the Microsoft 365 platform. So pretty much that's actually the case. Okay, type of a Copilot, yes, if you're running, which of course you do running, yeah, if you do have a Windows-based computer, and if you have the Windows 10 and Windows 11 on that machine, well, you do have the Copilot, and that's the Copilot for the Windows operating system. Tailored specifically to help you, help me, help every user in order to actually deal with the tasks at the level of the operating system. But then we have the Copilot in web, okay? So pretty much when we go to the Microsoft Edge, like on the right-hand side upper corner, we see the icon of the Microsoft Copilot there as well. But then on the web itself, we have the portal of the Copilot. We have the Copilot Studio if I want to do some sort of a customized Copilots for my organization. One example would be if I'm having the help desk, which of course for sure we're going to be having the help desk team, and the help desk team is going to be overwhelmed by the request in order to reset passwords, okay? We can then design a Copilot which is going to be specifically taking this, or we're going to be handing over this task to the Copilot, so then the help desk team is going to be very much concentrating to more creative works within the organization. Okay, and then yes, we do have the Copilot Mobile on the both the Google Play Store, Android platforms, and of course the Apple platforms as well, such as the App Store from the iPhones. We can of course go ahead and then download the Copilot Mobile as well. We do have the Copilot within the GitHub as well. The programmers, if we have the programmer in this session, definitely him or her is actually using the Copilot as well. Okay, but then we have the Copilot Pro. Okay, so what we did mention so far, mostly these particular Copilots are for free, but yes, we do have Copilots with a payment as well. If we're going to be using as an individual user the Copilot, of course, and we want to benefit from the latest AI models built onto such particular Copilot, then definitely we can actually use the Copilot Pro, okay? But then within the organization, we have the Microsoft 365 Copilot, and in order to use it accordingly, we need to purchase the subscription, which of course carries on the Copilot licenses as well, okay? Moving on forward, okay, what we have in here, we have actually one particular video. Let me just bring in the, I'm sorry for stopping a little bit. Okay, so yes, in the sound. Okay. Yes. Thank you so much for your. Yes, indeed, great tool in order to increase the productivity. Yes, indeed, we've seen how the Copilot in Word, in Excel, PowerPoint, in Outlook, and Teams was actually doing quite amazing task. For all of you that are leveraging for the time being Copilot, you are well aware of these particular capabilities and features. For the rest of you that you are not yet using it, we are actually having a very good suggestions. Okay, embrace the Copilot. Okay, yes. Sit down with your managers, okay, and then just tell them how great is this tooling and how much of a benefit is going to be bringing to your organization. Okay, yes. Moving on forward, and then yeah, the thing that we've been very much discussing earlier, okay, to not repeat ourselves, this is actually what is actually taking place internally within the Copilot. So right at the epicenter over here, we have actually the Copilot system, okay, which is actually taking the prompts in the various apps and services of the Microsoft 365. And then what's happening is that pretty much actually addressing those particular prompts back and forth between the Microsoft Graph and of course the large language models. Let's not forget the NLP, the natural language processing. Okay, what's so special with NLP? Well, you might be aware of it, but just to actually remind ourselves that, for instance, like if we have a database within the organization, relation database management systems where Microsoft can be accessed, and of course the SQL Server, definitely in order to be communicating with such database, in order to run queries, to ask the database, we need to know something which is called structured query language. Okay, not everyone can actually, based on these particular requirements, not everyone can communicate with the databases. Okay, so we need to learn the SQL. However, that's not the case when it comes to the Copilot. Everyone, okay, because of the NLP and the large language model, everyone can actually interact it in the natural language queries. We can interact with the Copilot. So pretty much that's this particular flexibility that we get it from the Copilot, and also like indeed an argument that it will help us increase the productivity. Okay, but what's so special about the prompts? Indeed, the idea is that the NLP is acting as a bridge or as a middleware between the user and the Copilot. Okay, now when it comes to this interaction, well, we use the prompts. It's a text box. When we enter some text, press enter, and then we are awaiting some responses. However, we need to be very clear, very conscious, have a goal, have a context, have an expectations, and have a source as well. The more of a detailed information that we provide to the Copilot, the higher the rate of the accuracy that we can get it from the Copilot. And definitely by the very end of such interaction is actually the satisfaction that we get it from that particular interaction with the Copilot. So then from that very understanding is very important to devote some precious time in terms of paying attention to the crafting some effective prompts. And when we said crafting effective prompts, of course, we did mention earlier the technique which is called prompt engineering. Okay, and then of course in this particular slide there is some particular example which it actually includes or integrates all together the goal, and of course then the source, then the context, and of course the expectations as well. But since we're going to be very much showcasing you some of the use cases, definitely we will have a chance to look at from the hands-on activities. Okay, here we are within the model 2, of course, and then just briefly we're going to be just pretty much telling you what we're going to be covering and then getting into the actual work. Okay, moving on forward, yes, we're going to be having some work in Word, some work in the Outlook, some work in the PowerPoint, some work in Excel, some work in Teams, and of course, we're going to be seeing the Copilot chat as well, which is now part of the Microsoft 365 Copilot. Okay, so yes, when we are into the HR, definitely we're going to be showcasing some of the exercises, and usually we know that the HR deals with the various types of the work, but of course, primarily the job descriptions as well. So resumes, we're going to be very much looking to work out that particular part with the Copilot. Okay, and then yes, we're going to be very much looking forward to do some sort of the labs or some sort of the hands-on activities by leveraging the Copilot within the sales and the finance as well. Okay, this is another very heavy, I'll say, from the task that is actually circulating or taking place within the organization. So yes, these particular offices or departments are very vital to the businesses. Okay, sales and finance, but of course we have sales and marketing as well. Okay, so yet again, we'll see over here various documents, various presentations. Okay, and of course, very much into these hands-on activities that we're going to be exploring. Operations, yes, operations can be, for instance, like the IT. Okay, we might have someone over here within this particular webinar taking place from the IT department, and she can very much look into the use cases that are relatable to the department of the office that these type of the users are actually representing. Okay, so yes, let's just move on forward and then putting actually ourselves into the real work. Okay, yes, let me see. Okay, let me see. View real-time notes and transfer. Okay, yes. Okay, so you have actually some response in there. Okay. Moving on forward, let's get into the real work, like I said. Okay, so here is actually the thing. Okay, but I'm not seeing, okay, yes, I see that, yeah, dozen of the audience, I have it in this webinar, but I'm not seeing the responses, okay? Before I get into this, okay, I was very much interested to find out whether you're using the Copilot, Microsoft 365 Copilot within your workplace. Can I have that response? Kindly use the chat box and tell us shortly, yes, no. Okay. Come on. Okay, so I'm having William that says yes. Ankit says yes. Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. Appreciate your responses. Okay, we have Salah that says yes as well. Okay, so far we have audience, which is okay. Adnan says no. Okay, but Adnan, okay, Microsoft 365. Okay, Microsoft 365. And then we have Pacific that says no as well. And like I said, maybe Moza says no. Okay, and then Sarah says yes. Yeah, to the no's. Okay, well, pretty much you might not you're most probably not using, like you're saying, the 365 Copilot, but the Copilot for free, which is like we presented earlier in that presentation, it did mention like the Windows Copilot and of course the Microsoft Edge Copilot and other types of the free Copilot. Most probably you're using that one, or maybe you're going with the ChatGPT, huh? ChatGPT, Copilot are, like we've said, narrow AI, okay? Or some authors are calling the weak AI, okay, because these are task oriented, okay, but all these AI models, they fall within the category of the GPTs, okay, and that's why ChatGPT, because GPTs generative pre-trained transformers, okay. Coming in, okay, thank you very much for the valuable feedback in regard whether you're using or not the Microsoft 365. Coming back to the actual work. Okay, so what you see over here, I am actually now positioned within the Microsoft 365. Okay, so yes, this is the home page of the Microsoft 365. So I'm actually signed in with an account that has the Microsoft 365 Copilot license. And you can see that I have the Copilot in here. Okay, let me just click on this particular Copilot. Okay, yes, this is actually some work that we've been actually doing today. Okay, on a pretty much a course that we've completed before this particular webinar. Okay, so maybe you're aware, which you are. Okay, but just in case we have someone which is not. Now, this is the Microsoft 365 Copilot with a license. Okay, initially with a subscription of the Microsoft 365. Okay, and then we have this particular toggle over here, work, in order to actually ground the data, which is the organization data, or this particular web as well. Okay, well, I will not going to be very much focused in that particular part. That is just solely for the orientation. Okay, because then I'm going to be very much going into the work. Okay, so then work and web. With web, the Copilot is actually then going into the web, into the public domain in order to retrieve the information. With work is going to be mostly actually looking forward to get the information from the data of the organization. Okay, we have some data. Okay, so I'm going to be asking, was there a meeting today? Okay, so was there a meeting today? So I'm using this particular prompt. Okay, and then yeah, Moses, thank you so much. Okay, and then yes, you see, pretty much we see that there was a meeting actually today. Okay, what was discussed in the meeting? So I'm receiving some suggestions. Who attended the meeting? Can you share the meeting minutes? Okay, let's see what was discussed in the meeting. Okay, so that's another prompt. Okay, so it gives me actually some of the information what was discussed in the meeting. Okay, so then I can summarize the key points, who attended the meeting and stuff like that. Okay, so I can say summarize emails. Okay, summarize emails, meetings, and chat with, okay, let's say with Ayman, okay, my colleague. If you're paying attention to the prompt, okay, I'm saying summarize emails, meetings, and chat with Ayman, okay? This is telling you that in this case, the chat, the Copilot chat is using the Microsoft Graph, the one that we've been telling earlier, in order to get to the various piece of the information in the Outlook, okay, within the Microsoft Teams as well. Yeah, because definitely that's how it goes. And here is actually some of the chats and organized in the perfect order: the emails with Ayman, the meetings, the chat, and etc. Okay, now I'm going to be very much interested to go, before I go into the use cases very shortly, to tell you some difference. I'm going into the Teams. Okay, App Launcher and then Teams here. So what we're going to be seeing over here now is the Microsoft Teams, but of course in a web format. Okay, I'm positioned within the chat here. Okay, and then yes, on the left-hand side, I have the chats. Okay, here's the Ayman. Okay, now I am positioned actually at the section of the chat with Ayman. Okay, and then if you can see in here, okay, so I will actually toggle off in order to bring it on. Okay, so now we have the Copilot here. Okay, the Copilot that we have it here. Okay, and the one that we've seen it here are actually different. Okay, they are same from the name itself, but different from what actually they are capable of accomplishing. This Copilot here is explicitly used for the chat part of the Teams purposes. Okay, It's solely going to be just telling us the information from within the teams. Okay, and the one from here is very much going beyond the teams. Okay, so it's actually went to the Outlook and Teams in that situation of that particular prompt that we've actually addressed over here. Summarize the emails, meetings, and chat with Ayman. Okay, however, we can pick up that one and see what we're going to be very much receiving over here as well. Okay, so let's do this and then run it here. If you're looking at the information that we're getting, well, pretty much that's actually the interaction with Ayman at the level of the teams. Okay, we actually don't see some emails and stuff like that. There was completely different situation. Okay, and it's continuing to provide actually various insights in regard to our communication thread with Ayman. Okay, yes. Okay, moving on forward now. We're going to be, as we've said, showcasing you some very interesting use cases. And because we have here in the class, okay, the users that are using, okay, so useful links. Okay, so let's. Okay, so here's the useful link. You can then take your time to explore use cases as well. Okay, let's proceed. Okay, so we're going to be looking into the executive use cases. Well, we've said that we are very much interested to actually go ahead and then look something very interesting into the various roles within the organization. Okay, for instance, like how we create a speech using the Microsoft 365 Copilot in Word. Okay, for that very reason, we actually need to download the document. Okay, so we're going to be downloading a document, which then I'm going to be very much then uploading into the OneDrive. Okay, so here's my OneDrive in here. I have this folder here for the webinars. Okay, add here, files upload. And then here, I'm going to be very much looking forward to actually this Fabricom 2023 income statement. Okay, so then open this one and then upload that accordingly. Okay, now that we've actually uploaded that particular document, okay, what we're going to be doing is that we will actually now try to work out with this one. Let's open up this one. Okay. Okay, so this is that. Now we see that the original document, okay, here's a summary, automatically generated by the Copilot, okay. So as we can see, well, we have over here just an income statement, okay, of the Fabricom from the year 2023. Now we want, okay, because this is an executive use case, say that a representative from the management of our organization is going to be running a speech, okay? And he or she is very much needing some sort of a document, okay, that he's going to be showcasing, telling actually to the certain audience or stakeholders in regard to this particular statement. So then let's see how then pretty much this particular Copilot is going to be helping us in order to do this particular speeching. Okay, so here's actually the prompt that we're going to be utilizing. Okay, so but let me just tell you something over here. Okay, so we have this icon of a Copilot here. When we approach it and hover, it says draft with Copilot. But then we have this icon over here, which when we click it on that, It's going to be giving us the pane on the right-hand side of the screen, which is very much actually now we have some better looking of the Copilot with that particular text box where we usually enter the prompts. Okay, super. Let's click on this icon over here. That's Draft with the Copilot. Okay, the prompt that we're going to be using is the following. Okay, so write a speech for the Fabricom stakeholders that summarizes the result of the company's 2023 income statement found in the attached file. Okay, but now in the attached file, okay, so just telling us that it's going to be referencing a document. How we're going to be referencing a document now? Well, here's how we're going to be referencing a document. We're going to be using the /. Okay, by using the /, well, the most recent used files are going to be displayed. Okay, and we can look whether we have that particular document or no. If we cannot find it within the most recent used files, then at least we can actually come here, okay, and browse files from the cloud. Okay, now Microsoft is going to be referencing the files within the OneDrive and SharePoint for the time being. Okay, so if our organization is actually embracing the Copilot, definitely we need to make sure that within the OneDrive and SharePoint, we have the documents in order for the Microsoft Grab actually to go and grab those particular piece of the information. Other than that, it will actually cannot reference it elsewhere. For instance, like saving on the local computer, that's not the case. You've seen it that we've downloaded the file and then uploaded it into the OneDrive. Okay, so let's attach this income statement here. Okay, and then yes, that statement has been attached in there. Okay, now let's generate it. Okay, now because we've already had this particular table, okay, usually what we do, okay, let me just, yeah, discard this one. Okay, let me take out this particular label of share screen. Okay, I'm going to be closing this one. Okay, why? Because I will go to this one here. Okay, and then click on the word, like document, and then in here, draft, actually with the Copilot. Okay, so then here, I'm going to be referencing now that particular document. Okay, so coming here and picking up that file. Okay, and then attach. Okay, so then I can generate now. Okay, and now the prompt. Now what we have within the prompt, the thing that we've seen it within that earlier presentation, we have the goal to create a speech, but then we are actually bringing in some details, okay, in the format of the context, in the format of the source, in the format of the expectations, okay? And then here's actually the case over here, okay? So now we have the summary of the Fabricom's 2023 financial performance speech for the stakeholders, okay, which is actually very much organized into the revenue growth and the cost of goods sold and et cetera, to not go into the details. Okay, it is recommended that we often iterate actually with the Copilot. Let's attempt to regenerate it over here. That's known as an iteration. Okay, so creating a draft in here. When this concludes, you can see that now we have actually two versions of this speech. Okay, so then we can navigate from the one to another. So this is the first one, and this is the second one. If I want some specifics, I can then enter within this particular part over here. Okay, I'll go back in here. If I want to additionally iterate, obviously I can go there. Okay, regenerate. Like we've seen it earlier, if I want to discard it, definitely. If I'm not happy with what I've actually received it, then I can actually go along and then discard it. Okay, say that we want to keep this one, and definitely we would be very much interested to keep this one. Okay, here's actually clicking the button on keep it. Okay, and this one then is actually then representing that particular. Okay, so indeed, yeah, if we remove all of the explanation, this and that, within seconds. Okay, within seconds, this particular speech has been actually generated from one particular table, which of course is considered to be an income statement. And then yes, just because of the fact that we're working on the Word 365, automatically has been saved over here, okay, with this particular name. So if I can go over here, okay, well, I can see that that has been stored within the documents, okay. So if I go in here, okay, then yes, this is the summary of the Fabricam 2023 financial performance, the one that we've actually created. Okay, moving on forward. Let's go back to some other example, still in the use cases. Okay, let's create a slide presentation using the Microsoft 365 Copilot. Okay, yes, let's come in here yet again within the Microsoft 365, and we are going to be going to the Copilot to the PowerPoint. Okay, let's go initially with the blank presentation. Okay, let's create a presentation by referencing a file yet again. Okay, so we're going to be referencing what? We're going to be referencing that Fabricam 2023 financial presentation. In fact, that statement that we just created earlier. Okay, so yes, let's do that. Okay, so yet again, we are within the PowerPoint 365. What we see is this icon over here, which is yet again the Copilot, where we can click and create a presentation with file. So I can go ahead and click over here, or I can come in here, and when I click this part, in similar fashion as we've seen it within the Microsoft Word, yet again, I'm going to be having a pane on the right-hand side of the screen of the PowerPoint in this case, with a text box at the end, which is indicating the area where I can actually address the prompts. Okay, yes, we are very much interested to actually establish over here or create a presentation by using actually the certain document that we've actually created earlier. Okay, so let's move on forward and then create the presentation. So we're going to be clicking this one here, create a presentation from this file. So let's click on this one, okay? And then navigate the document. You see the prompt down below says create a presentation from, and automatically has inserted this /, and it's waiting for me to then find out that particular file in order to then reference it. Okay, let me see if I have it, this one here, although it was actually the most recent used. No, because I've not actually opened that particular one. Doesn't matter. I can go here and then attach the cloud files. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so I'm having this one. This is what I've actually created. That's the speech for the stakeholders. So we're going to be creating a presentation out of this particular document. Let's click on this one and then select. Okay, so create a presentation from the summary of the Fabricam 2023 financial performance. Let's click send. Okay, and then working on response for us. Okay, it's finding the file, interrupting the presentation. Okay, so scrolling down, generating the slides. Okay, it's adding the speaker notes. So actually we will say that it's a complete presentation. And yes, here we are. So even here, it tells me that I've drafted 17 slides and made some changes based on the documents. Okay, so we can also use the designer for adjusting the layouts. Okay, so what we have in here, actually the title slide, the agenda, and then indeed, very neat, good looking presentation. Okay, so yes, even the graphics is very well aligned to the content on the slides. Okay, and then conclusion over here. Well, it was said that even the speaker notes have been added. So if I actually go over the slides, I can see that I'm having the speaker notes as well. Okay, awesome indeed. Okay, well, while we actually go along and then review the slides, well, pretty much we want actually to fine-tune a little bit this particular presentation. For that very reason, we're going to be setting actually this particular prompt. Okay, In this prompt that says the speaker introduces a presentation of Fabricom's 2023 income statement highlights, reporting strong performance and growth despite challenges from the global pandemic and competitive market. The presentation will summarize the main results and explain how they align with the company's strategic vision and goals. Okay, so let's see what we're going to be receiving over here. Okay. It says it might take a while. Meanwhile, I can help you with something else. So this particular circle over here is indicating that it's actually working at the back end. Okay. Okay, so it says I've added speaker notes to all slides. Review each slide and make edits manually or undo and try again. Well, we've seen that used to be the speaker notes, the initial ones, but of course now we have actually fine-tuned in order to actually bring over some of the very important information that we want to actually present it to the interested audience or the interested stakeholders. We're going to be continuing to do actually some additional fine tuning in here. Okay. So we're going to see how we add an extra slides. Okay. So here's a prompt. Add a new slide after the slide 1. The slide should have an image of a mountain peak in the Alps. Okay. And then towards the bottom of the slide, add a text box that says Fabricom's company's motto, okay, that says we overcome every obstacle. Additionally, we're going to be adding some speaker notes on this particular slide as well, okay, and then as such, then of course align it with whatever we actually have it in this particular presentation as the standard. So let's run this particular prompt. Okay, it might take a while yet again. Okay, let's see. Well, when we look into this particular one, well, pretty much, obviously, we don't see that the Copilot has actually added that one. No problem. Let's just attempt it again. Okay, add the new slide. Because it's a bit confused. I've added speaker notes to the slide. Okay, it should add a slide. Yes, yet again says, okay, this time it's working. So pretty much, are you noticing, okay, this sort of a situation, okay, that Copilot received a new prompt, but the outcome was similar to the previous one, okay? In that regard, definitely we need to move forward, okay? Iterate or look within the prompt, maybe we need to do some sort of a changes. But by repeating the same prompt, everything is actually in order. So after the slide 1, we actually have the Fabricom's motto, was pretty much what we've been actually asking from that very prompt. Okay, so graphic with the Alps in there, and then yes, some of the text within the slide, and then also like the speaker notes within the speaker part of this particular presentation. Okay, yes, that's done. Moving on forward. Okay, so well, we've seen the Word, and of course, we've seen the PowerPoint as far as the executive use cases. Moving on forward, we did mention the sales. Okay, let's see what we have from the sales. Okay, so we're going to be yet again looking something in the Word and of course in PowerPoint as well. Okay, initially, since we are within the PowerPoint over here, we're going to be looking into the creating a sales presentation using the Microsoft 365 Copilot in PowerPoint. Okay, so let's see how we create this sales presentation. Yeah, we need this particular document. Okay, so let's download this file initially. Okay, so I'm going to be saving. And then here, as usually, I'm going to be uploading, okay, into this folder here, add files, upload, and then, okay, is the protein shake. Yes. Okay, I have that particular file, and now I go into the actual work. Okay, so yet again, I'm going to be referencing. So I'm going back to the PowerPoint presentation. Okay, so let me pick up this one as the name because I want to be organized. Okay, and then save it in there and then press it. Okay, and now I'm going with the new blank presentation. Okay, so closing that one and coming in here. Okay, so let's again create a file from the create a presentation from by referencing a certain file. Okay, that is going to be the case. To be able to do that, here's yet again. Okay, so we will go in this part in here, create a presentation from the file, and then download that file. Okay, attach it from the in here. Okay, let's go in here and then this folder. And this is actually that protein shake. Okay, let's do select in here. Okay, so we are actually referencing that one. Let's do that. Let's run it. So this is going to be presentation used by the sales. Yes, it's coming. Okay, so we see 16 slides. Okay, yes. And then yet again, agenda. Okay, and the rest of the content in here. Okay, yeah, awesome. Now, actually here we want to do some sort of a fine tuning. Okay, for instance, like we want to add a slide. Okay, so we want to add a slide at the end of the presentation. Okay, let's do that. And this slide at the very end of the presentation is going to be some Q&A slide. Let's see what the Copilot is capable of doing this one. Okay, add the slide at the end of the presentation for Q&A. Okay, let's run it. Looking things over. Okay, yes, the slide has been added, but not in here. Okay, if we actually do this one, undo this part, okay, and then if we go all the way down in here and then repeat the same, okay, let's see what the Copilot is actually going to be doing in this case. Okay, this time it's actually adding that particular slide in here, question and answers. But I'm going to be doing actually the opposite, yet again, going in here, and I want to test the capabilities of the Copilot, okay? And then add a slide at the end of the presentation for Q&A. Yet again is adding in here. Okay, so class, are you actually getting the thing that, well, indeed, there are strong capabilities of the Copilot, but it requires some sort of a work, some sort of a teamwork. Okay, that's why when we actually explained that particular example with knowledge of the Copilot, pardon, the pilot and the Copilot. Okay, that's actually some sort of a team play, teamwork. Yet again, here we need to act actually as a team. So pretty much by helping now the Copilot position ourselves at the very end of the presentation and then running for the fourth time this particular prompt, then of course we're going to be getting what we were very much interested. Okay. But I have now, okay, I'm going to be yet again doing this. Okay. Then adding this prompt fifth time. Okay, don't be bothered. Add the slide at the end of the presentation. Okay, so this time, okay, understand that you would like, okay, yes, So pretty much, you see, it's not adding that. Let's see now. Okay, but now we're going to be fine-tune a bit this particular. Okay, let's go to the beginning. Okay, and prompt. We're going to be doing this one. Add the slide at the very end of the presentation for questions and answers session. Okay, let's see how is going to be the reaction. Okay, the difference is at the end, at the very end. Okay, some more details in here. Well, we see that it just adds actually into the over here. Okay, the second part over here. Okay, we're not going to be bothering that much. Okay, but now we're going to be proceeding further and fine tune this one with what? In the speaker notes of the Q&A slide with that you just created, add a list of possible questions that may be asked regarding this presentation. Okay, so let's run this one. This prompt. For the time being, we have this. Okay, so I'm not touching it. Okay, yes, you see that we are actually having this one here. Okay, used to be that part, but now Copilot has actually added, based on our prompt, has added this particular prompt, this particular speaker notes over here. Okay, but yes, overall, we will say that very much this is actually that sales presentation. Okay, so coming in here, market trend report, and then coming in here again, pasting there, and of course saving it. But definitely we're going to be organizing this part in here. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, and also let's do that as well. Let's keep both of these two here. Okay, let's close this one, class, part of the valued audience. Okay, and moving on forward. Well, we've said that we're going to be looking something into the Word as well. Okay, so compare supplier agreements using the Microsoft 365 Copilot in Word. Okay, let's see what we have here. We're going to be downloading 3 documents in here. Okay, first one, download the file. Okay, save it into the. Okay. And now let me upload. Okay, let me just close out this. It's becoming very crowded in here. Okay, so let me just upload the files in here. Okay, what I have is the Contoso supplier agreement. Okay, and then I have a Tailwind. Okay, Tailwind, and of course I have the Wide World Importer supplier agreement. Okay, open this. Yes, these 3 are here. Okay, let's move on forward. We need to go to the Microsoft 365 and Word. Okay, we're going to be going with a blank document and drafting a document. Okay, so we're going to be drafting with Copilot. The initial prompt that we're going to be using is the following. Okay, so we're going to be very much using, I'm the sales manager for the Northwind Traders, a supplier of various grocery and beverage products. Please create a report that compares the supply agreements for 3 of our customers. Provide a recommendation on contract renewals that can provide Northwind Traders with more favorable terms. The supply agreements for these 3 customers are attached. Thank you. Are attached, meaning that we need to add those particular files in here. So we need to reference. Okay, so let's go there. Okay, let's browse those particular files. Okay, so I'm going to my files in here, and then going on this particular folder here. So then I need to use these. Okay, so this one here. Okay, and then Tailwind, and then the Wide World Importer Supplier. Attach it. Okay, 3 documents are in there. Okay, so we'll reference the documents. We have the draft in there, and then let's generate. Okay, creating a draft. Okay, yes, it's working on that. Okay, now if I'm happy with the comparison, yes, as we can see here, it is actually doing the following. Okay, initially it's doing the introduction and then comparison of the supplier agreements. Okay, we have the Contours supplier agreement, Tailwind, the trader supplier agreement, and the Wide World Importer supplier agreement as well. Then we have the recommendations as well. If I'm happy with this one, like we've seen it before, when we actually done that speech, okay, then we can keep it. But if I want to regenerate it, why not actually trying one more comparison results, okay? It's giving me some tables now. Okay, I might be interested for this sort of a comparison document. Okay, I'm going to be reviewing it. Okay, and most probably decide for this one here. Okay, just because that I'm having some comparison key terms like presented in the format of a table terms and then contours of column tailwinds, traders, and then wide world importers. Okay, let me keep this one. Okay, and then automatically comparison report of supplier agreements as well. Okay, yes, that was actually for the sales users cases. Okay, we did mention that we're going to be looking into the marketing. Okay, let's see what we have into the marketing. We're going to be yet again going, since we are within the Word, we're going to be looking into the use case with the Word and of course use case with the Excel as well. Okay, so let's come in here. Okay, so we have additional 3 documents in here. So I'm going to be downloading them really fast. Okay. Okay, coming here. Okay, let me close this. Okay, I'll keep that. And going to OneDrive. In here, as usual, add new. So uploading the files. Upload. Okay, so Mystic Spice is going to be. So this one, which is a presentation. Okay, so Mystic. Okay, and then is Contoso J. Okay, Contoso JT Market. And also like promotion plan, these 3 files. We're going to be clicking at the open, and then very soon these files are being uploaded. Okay, now we're going to go into the Word, blank document. Okay, and then yet again we're going to be drafting with what? Drafting actually with the Copilot. Okay, so here's the prompt that we're going to be using. Okay, it says, I'm the LATAM marketing director for Contoso Beverage. Please create a LATAM market analysis report for our Mystic Spice Premium JT beverage. Combine the 3 attached files. Combine. So it's actually merging. Combine the 3 attached files to create a report that describes the product, analyze the market trend for it, and includes a promotion plan for Latin America. Okay, so let's reference those particular files in here. Okay, so yet again over here, trying to attach the files from the from in here. Okay, so we're going to be very much now looking forward to find those particular files. So go within the My Files, okay, and then within the webinar over here, and then here, going first with the actually Mystic Spice Premium JT product. Okay, so this one here. And then we're going to be using what? Okay, so am I missing something over here? I think missing. Okay, no problem. Let me just go back in here. Okay, so let me just attach initially this one. Okay, and I'm going in here, OneDrive, really fast. Okay, upload the file. Okay, I have this, yes, in Excel. Yeah, that one there. So going to the Word documents in here and referencing now the newly added file. My files here. Okay, going to this particular webinar. Okay, and then in here, okay, interesting is not showing me that one. Okay, let's see. Very interesting is not giving me that one. No problem. Do something. Okay, so I can move to came up as okay, so move here. Okay, let's come in here. Go to my files. It's not showing me the Excel file. Something. Okay, so let me see. Let me see this one. Very interesting. Ah, okay. So here, let me see where I'm. Yes, okay. These things can happen. Okay, replace. Okay, so I'm having it there. Yes, let's see here. But very interesting, it's not showing me in here. Okay, no problem. I'm actually about very interesting, very weird reaction of the OneDrive in here. Let me see. Okay, I'm going to be closing this one. Okay, closing this. Okay, start all over again. Work this one. Okay, and then wrapping the document. Okay, referencing now. Let's see files, if I can see it from here. No. Okay, so then browse from the cloud. Okay, let's see here. Very interesting, it's not giving me the Excel files. Streets. Okay, no problem. So I can leave that one aside, at least promotion. Okay, so attach this one. Okay, so here the two, I'll say the two. Yes, definitely. The two attached files. Okay, definitely. Some issue. Okay, issue pretty much in terms of the uh, permissions, most probably. Okay, and then let's generate. Okay, definitely we're not going to be stopping in there, but hopefully it's not going to be creating me issues when it comes to the Excel. Okay, so yes. Very interesting report. Yeah, the long one. 5 out of 5 pages. I'm going to be reviewing it initially. Yes, the LATAM market analysis report for the Mystic Spice Premium JT. As usual, introduction, product description, market trend and demand, comparative analysis, distribution channels, promotion plan and strategy, okay, expected outcomes and challenges, recommendation and conclusions. Okay, yes. Like we've seen it earlier, if I want to keep it, no problem. Okay, but if I want to regenerate, yet again, no problem. I can discard it, but we want to actually fine tune it a bit. Okay, so indeed, this report looks good. However, we want to actually go fine tune it a bit. Okay, we want to place adding a section titled competitive analysis. Okay, we want to review the beverages companies in Latin America, which are actually selling the JT, and then be able to provide some information in that particular section, which is going to be strengthening more this particular report. Okay, so overall, as we've said, we want to fine tune it, and let's see now what Copilot is capable of doing in this regard. Okay, so we have now this competitive analysis, which we didn't have earlier. And this competitive analysis is very much for the companies in the Latin America. Okay, let's go up. You can see now page 6 of 7. Okay, so we're actually at the 7 pages. Okay, so yes, distribution channels, but this is very much the thing over here. Okay, competitive analysis, Atley, Tivana, and of course Davis Tea as well, local brands. Okay, excellent. Now moving on forward, uh, we can go ahead and then keep this one, but we want to go further with the fine tuning. Okay, so you know what? Well, we did mention that when we actually go along and then create or craft those particular prompts, we need to set the goal, we need to set the context, we need to actually set the expectations, and of course, reference the sources. But let's not forget that we need to do what? We need to make sure that we are polite as well. So if you're looking in this particular prompt, we started with a nice job. And earlier, we've started with a thank you. Okay. So indeed, well, I'm quite sure that it happened to you because it happened to me as well. Okay. It's not that I'm actually not polite with the Copilot, but sometimes when I'm actually not using the expressions such as the please, okay, but like more in the format of the order, could you give me or give me this, do this? Sometimes I'm actually getting some sort of responses to the Copilot that I'm just an AI model responsible for this and that, but of course cannot do this and that. Okay, but as soon as I change the sentiment and the tone altogether, please, could you help me because I'm working on this particular document, this and that, then the Copilot is indeed giving the best in order to actually assist me in that particular work. Okay, so nice job. And one last thing, please add this section titled distribution channels and then review the distribution channels used to sell the JT in Latin America and then provide the information in this section on the types of the retailers, wholesalers, and distributors used as well. Okay, let's proceed now running this particular. And you've seen it actually in that work of the Copilot. It was saying refining the document. Okay, yes, still working. Okay, we've had initially 5 pages. Then we've had 7 pages. Yet again, we are in 7 pages as well. Of course, we can review introduction, product description, market trend and demand, competitive analysis, okay, distribution channels, promotion plan and strategy, okay, expected outcomes and challenges, recommendations and conclusions, and obviously we're going to be keeping in this one. Okay, so the LATAM market analysis report for the Mystic Spice Premium JT. Okay, that's good. Moving on forward, now with the still in marketing, but in Excel. So we're going to be working in Excel. Okay, I've already downloaded that file. Okay, and then so let's go into let's close this one. Okay, close this also, and then let's go into OneDrive. Let's locate the file, Excel file. Okay, so this is that. Let's try to open this. Okay, here we are. We are within the Excel 365. We have the Copilot icon in here, but of course we have it here as well. Let's click on this one here. Okay, and let's see what we can actually do it here. When we click on that particular icon, yes, as it was the case within the Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, okay, in Teams as well. Well, what we can actually look in here is that we actually then received some sort of suggested prompts. Okay, get deeper analysis results using the Python. Okay, highlight cells in the table that are complete, summarize column A in the bullet points, show data insights, and of course more of the examples. Some additional specific prompts show data insights, show a suggestion for a formula columns, suggest conditional formatting. But if we can click on the refresh, then obviously this is going to be changing yet again. Okay, so another refresh, And as we can see, pretty much it actually changes. Okay, now we want to actually do something. Okay, we want to do some pretty much actually try to bring over some sort of interaction with this particular table over here. Okay, so what we're doing over here, we're going to be very much okay running some prompt which is similar to this part. Okay, insights for social media engagement views. Okay, let's click on this one. I was just about to actually insert it, but let's just do that. So we have the social media engagement column views. We have it here. Okay, so this is that. Okay, and let's add it to a new sheet. So this is sheet 1. So add a new sheet. Yes, you see very easily in the sheet 2, we're going to be getting that particular part. Okay, so going back to the sheet 1. Okay, and now we see that we have get deeper analysis results using the Python. Can I see another insights? Add all insights to the grid. Okay, but we're going to be very much using the following prompt. Okay, show suggestions for formula columns. Okay, let's do that. You've noticed that it was actually reviewing A1, okay, and of course A14 as well. And then this is what we've actually received it, okay? Pardon, looking for A1, F14, all of the table. So from here all the way to here, okay? And then formula column to review and inserting column G, okay? So in here. Average change sales, okay, insert the column. Okay, you see I'm just approaching, it's inserting. So let's click on insert that particular column. Okay, what about the following prompt? For instance, I'm asking the Copilot, how can I highlight, filter, and sort data? Okay, I can run this. Okay, here's the explanations. Yes, very handy. To highlight, filter, and sort data in Excel, follow these steps. Highlight the data, steps. Filter the data, steps. Sort the data, steps. Yes. Can you show an example? How do I remove the filters? Can I sort by multiple columns? Okay. What if we want to represent this one? Okay. So on this in the column chart. Okay. So represent the table in sheet in a column bar chart in sheet 3. Okay, so let's try this prompt. Yet again, now it's analyzing the G14 as well. Okay, so it's G14. I created column bar chart based on the table in sheet 1 and added it to the sheet 3. Okay, so yes, let's add to a new sheet. Yes, in sheet 3, I'm actually having this particular column bar chart. Okay, so yes, indeed, very easily, very fast, and of course, very neat as well. Okay, moving on forward. So that was marketing. Well, we did mention that we're going to be looking something into the HR. Okay, yes. Let's check with HR. Okay, job descriptions, resumes, all that. So let's close this one. Okay, And then, yes, we're going to be very much looking into doing what? Create a job description. So we're going to be creating a job description using the Microsoft 365 Copilot in Word. Okay. And then we're going to be analyzing resumes. Okay. Let's initially create the job description. Okay. Moving on forward. So let's download a file. Okay. Download the file, save it as usually within the downloads. Okay, and then coming in here, add, okay, files upload, this one, Graphic Design Institute, open. Okay, I'm having it here, no problem. So let's get started with here. Okay, so let's go in the Microsoft 365 and Word. Okay, so blank document to be, okay, now drafting the following with the following prompt, actually, the following job description with the following prompt. I'm the HR manager at the Graphic Design Institute. We have currently started the hiring process for a new senior animation designer. Please review the attached document that outlines the job responsibility for this role and create the job description based on those responsibilities. Okay, / okay, and then yes, the document that we've just uploaded, we're going to be using it, that one. Okay, so my files in here. Okay, this is graphic, and then attach. Okay, let's generate. Okay, let's review. Okay, 2 of 3 pages. Okay, overview, core responsibilities, design, collaboration, design, communication, and the research and testing, documentation, professional development, leadership, and we have qualification, all of that stuff. Okay, we want to fine tune this one by stating that, okay, so while this job description is description draft is a good start, you fail to include the most of the detailed, details found in the job responsibility documents. So please try again, and this time outline each responsibility area and select the responsibilities required of a senior animation designer. Okay, let's fine tune that. Okay, yes. And we have 2 of 2 now. Okay, we are now almost at the end of the page 3. Yeah, just because of the very much expectations that we've set within that particular job description. Okay, proceeding further with the fine tuning. Okay, so in this case, we're going to be stating this job description draft is better, but it still lacks the details that I'm looking for. Okay, the job responsibilities document outline detailed responsibility for each area. Include those details in this job description. Also be specific as you can. Let's see what the Copilot is going to be regenerating, refining your draft. Okay, here it is. Well, it went beyond 3 pages, and currently we see that we are on 3 or 4. Okay, so yes, this is now the case where this particular one, okay, job description has been generated based on, those 3 prompts initially to draft based on a given document, and then obviously to fine tune it based to the expectations. Okay, job description, senior animation designer. Okay, that's good. Moving on forward. Let's analyze the resumes, okay, within the HR. So analyze resumes and make a recommendation using the Microsoft 365 Copilot in Word. Yeah, and this is actually very much when we hire. So in this case, we're going to be downloading 4 resumes. Okay, so let me just download them really fast. Okay, we have the resumes of Patty, Nestor, Holly, and okay, and Alex. Okay, if we have an HR a user with us, well, pretty much him or her can find this use case very beneficial. Okay, so let's upload now. Okay, files upload. Yes, these are the resumes. Okay, Alex, Holly, Nasser, and Patty. Okay, open. Okay, yes, I'm having those in there. Okay, let's do this. Okay, coming in Word, blank document again. Okay, and then we're going to be using the following prompt to draft a document. In fact, we're stating, I'm the hiring manager for the Graphic Design Institute. We're hiring for the position of senior animation designer. Please create a report that compares the attached resumes to the requirements of a senior animation designer in the attached job description file and rank the candidates from most qualified to least qualified. Thank you. Okay, let's do that. Okay, so we need to reference now. Okay, so in this case, it tells to reference the resumes initially. Okay, let's go and do that. Okay, so my files. Okay, so we have the resume here, 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 and here. Attach. Okay, but okay, let's see. Okay, let's see. So let me see over here. So please create a report that compares the attached resumes to the requirements for a senior engineer in the attached job description file. Okay, so we need to have the senior animation designer in the attached job description file and rank the candidates. Okay, so we need to reference that additional document. Okay, so job description, the one that we've created earlier. Okay, so yes, this is the job description, senior animation designer, that we've actually generated earlier prior to this one. Okay, so now we have all 5 files. So we have 4 resumes and of course 1 job description. Let's see how the Copilot is going to be helping us in this regard. Okay, let's have a look in this very interesting document. Candidate comparison report, senior animation designer position, overview, job requirements, candidate evaluation. It starts with Alex Wilbur. Okay, and gives us actually some data about Alex, Holly, okay, Nestor, Patty Fernandez. Okay, ranking from the most qualified to the least qualified. Nestor is actually now most qualified to the least. Nestor leads the list. Then comes Patty. Then comes Alex. Then comes Holly Dixon. Okay, so we can keep it or we can then further regenerate it. Okay, intention was to actually just go ahead and then compare with the resumes with a certain job description. Let's keep it. Okay, and of course, candidate comparison report, senior animation designer. Okay, moving on forward. Okay, now that we've seen it, that's one. Okay, so it's time to go into the operations. into the operations. Okay, so into the operations, we're going to be looking something into the Outlook, because so far we've been mostly working within the Word, of course, PowerPoint. Okay, and then so mostly we've been working in Word most of the time, then obviously on PowerPoint, but of course just in one instance we've actually worked on the Excel. So let's see what we can do in Outlook. Okay, we want to draft something in Outlook as well. Okay, so let's come in here. I'm going to be closing this one. Okay, this as well. So coming in here and then going to the Outlook. When we look into the, okay, so when we go into the Outlook, obviously here we have this, okay, let me just take out this one. We have this Copilot icon in here. If I click on this caret here, well, it gives me the chat, okay, and gives me the draft. If I go to the chat, okay, here's how the Copilot comes up. And if I come in here, it actually then enables me to draft as well. What do you want this email to say? Okay, yes, we're going to be very much entering the following. Okay, so in what we want this email to say, we will say the following: please draft a reply to this email thread. Thanks. Okay, definitely. Okay, well, we are actually don't have, but just fictitious one. Okay, let's generate. Okay, yes, and pretty much we have this particular text. Okay, now when we look into this one, well, we have the option adjust tone or length. Okay, let's see what we can do in here. Make it shorter, make it longer, or change the tone. Okay, let's try and make it longer. Okay, so let's click on that. Okay, let's change the tone. Okay, let's try direct. Okay, let's try other tones. Casual. Okay, let's attempt another tone. Formal. Okay, or change tone to like a poem. Okay, yes, but then I'm having actually all these 6. So I'll go, okay, review them. And here I am. Okay, I might go with the first one. Okay, so let me just keep it here. Okay, and then over here, add my colleague here. And of course, then, okay, yes, I appreciate, okay, could you please provide more detailed reference points? Okay, so I will pick up this one, might be a bit long, but okay, just some clarification in there. Okay, and then on this, actually pretty much the case. Now, let me just go over here, okay, and then send this one. But what else can I do? Okay, if I want, okay, let's see this one. Okay, an event. I'm still in Outlook. Okay, Teams meeting. Okay, and then over here, maybe for the same thing, I want actually to run a meeting. Okay, so yes, that might be the timing. Okay, and then I'm leaving as it is. Okay, and then entities. Okay, and I can add, for instance, my colleague in here. Okay, optional, I can add, for instance, like Ariel in here. Okay, so from here. Okay, yeah, because this is going to be calling him on the workplace email. Okay, this is actually the testing platform. Okay, so here, and then definitely then I can send that. But let me just try to work out the timing in here so you can see the reaction. Okay, it's like this, 4:30. We are already into the 4:30. Okay, and then send it. Okay, you see, so this is actually that particular meeting. So if I can come over here, obviously then I can join there. Okay, so pretty much few things in regard to the operations with the Microsoft Outlook. Okay, what else? Well, pretty much we can go to the IT department. Okay, yes, let's go to the IT department. Yes, I've received the notification in here. Okay, because of this meeting here. So let's dismiss that. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is that let's manage the IT assets, okay, assets using the Microsoft 365 Copilot in Excel. Okay, that is going to be very interesting. Okay, so. Okay, let me just initially find the file. It's not giving me the file to download it. Okay, to not waste time, because with Excel it's something not as expected. But yes, we're going to be updating the technical report using the Microsoft 365 Copilot in Word, which is all about the IT operations. Okay, I'm downloading a file, which is the virtual private network. Okay, so this is the case. And then I'm going to come in here, OneDrive, and then files upload. Okay, yes, this is that VPN technical overview. Open. Okay, that's good. Coming in here, going to Word. Okay. And then, yes. So, in here, in fact, we're going to go to the OneDrive. Do I have that VPN file? Yes, this one. Let's open up this one. Okay. Super. Now, so we have this. Okay. And then we're going to be in here. Okay. So we would, okay. So let's just review this particular report. Okay. We can come here as well. Okay, and then what do you want Copilot to draft? Keep writing this, get coaching, insert a summary, chat with Copilot. So we can then paste it in here. Write a new section for this document about the types of explain what each VPN type is, how it's typically used, and outline the pros and cons. This content is for technical audience, so please provide specific details. Okay, and of course we can then generate that, or let's just do that. Okay. Okay, for all, if we have the IT guys in here, they will find this very insightful. Why? Because have a look, type of a VPN, site-to-site VPN, remote access VPN, client server VPN, SSL VPN, IPsec VPN, and of course, then keep it. Okay, so yes, very, very interesting. Okay, let's proceed. Let's enter this one further. Okay, that says, please write a new section for this document about the security policies related to the VPN usage. This content is for technical audience, so please provide specific details. Let's do that. Okay, security policies. Well, when we look at in here, we have security policies related to VPN usage. Okay, but what is happening here? That's why I said, let us try this one. Okay, well, we have actually this part. So let's keep this one. Okay, and now that we have the report itself along with the added section, then we would come here, and from here, please write a new section. So let's do that. Okay, and then we're going to be asked to insert it. Okay, assume that we want to insert it here before the types of the VPNs. Okay, in here. Okay, but let's just do that like that and insert. Okay, here we have it. This part in here. I did actually delete the formatting, so we can actually see that particular difference. Okay, moving on forward. Okay, so let's highlight something. Okay, risk mitigation. Okay, so okay, let's highlight this one. Okay, and now we're going to be entering the following prompt. So let's do in here. The highlighted content discusses the risks of using VPNs in both home and enterprise networks. Remove the content related to home networks, then rewrite this section so that it focuses solely on the risks of a VPN enterprise networks. Okay, yes. Here it is. Okay, and then insert it. Okay, let's see. Okay, yes. Now, very much, I was actually very, okay, I can do undo here. Okay, and then coming here, then insert it there. Okay, that's good. And then pretty much doing that one. Okay, so, and then another thing is this part here. While the content you generated focuses on risk associated with the VPN and enterprise environment, it doesn't mention any mitigation that the company can take to address these risks. Can you also add content related to the risk mitigations? Let's do that. Okay, here's the risk mitigations. Okay, still working on it. Okay, and then we can then add it. Okay, right after it, this one. Okay, insert. Yes. So pretty much we have now this one here. Okay, so this is what has been just added recently. Okay, with this last one, but we have something pros and cons. Okay, so we would be very much interested to do the what. Okay, so in here, okay, let's just select this one. Okay, and then use the following prompt. Okay, which specifies place the content from the pros and cons of implement VPN sections into the table. Okay, so actually we've been just using that part. So we need to find out whether that's from the types. Okay, of implement sections of the types of VPNs. Okay, let's do that. And here's the table in here. So let's come here. Okay, take that part here and insert that table. Okay, so yes, this is actually that particular table. Okay, which we can then further refine it in this particular order. Okay, yes, with this one, we've actually complete this further. Okay, so we'll say over here, version 2. Okay, and then press enter. Okay, class. Yes, with this one, we are concluding. And then here we are. Let's see if we have any questions. Okay. And then, yes, we're going to be sharing with you the links to the achievement code and also like to the feedback as well. Meantime, while you're actually doing that, I'll be very much okay. So yes, on the left-hand side is the achievement code. On the right-hand side is the training feedback. Okay, but I can also like share with you the links in the chat box. Okay, so wait me here. And of course, we have some question, which of course I'm going to be going and answering that one. Okay, so yes. Okay, so yes, QR codes on the share screen, but also like the links in the chat box. Okay, let's see questions, comments, suggestions. Okay, when you didn't like the presentation, you want to change it till you got the one that is very convincing. Does this have the limitations in generating more different presentations? Very good question. No, it doesn't have actually limitations. Okay, it's just because, you know, we are actually recommended to iterate and iterate, okay? Until we come to a point that we assess that that's what the outcome, the output of the Copilot is, what satisfies the needs that we've been, the expectations that we've been looking for, okay? So there's no limitations in generating more different presentations, okay? But yes, as you've seen it, it requires actually teamwork. Okay, definitely great tool, but it's Copilot. Okay, so you are me, you, and all of the users are actually in the role of a pilot, and then that tool is the Copilot. So it's going to be assisting based on what we are actually looking for from. Okay, and then yes, yeah, class, take your time. Okay, to then yeah, thank you very much, Pacific. Okay, take your time to provide us the feedback, okay? Because only with feedbacks we can improve further. Actually, the webinars, the content, the performance, and everything. Okay, and then yes, also like take the premise that the achievement code, okay, as a gift from the collaboration of technology with Microsoft, in order to pretty much mark the accomplishment of your participation in this particular webinar, and then showcase it within your social media as well. Okay, so let me just do something. Okay, like actually do the achievement code. Okay, that's the achievement code. And this is, the naming itself is telling that this is the form. Okay, so, and the QR codes are in the chat box as well. Okay, and then, yes, I need to thank you very much. Yes, indeed. I will use this timing because we're right on the 2 hours mark. Okay, yeah. Dear valued audience, indeed, we are essentially appreciating your patience and dedication to take part in this webinar, empowering the users with the various use cases. And let's not forget that we've actually started with the executive use cases. And then further, we went into the sales, we went into the marketing, we went into the operations. Okay, we went into the HR as well, and finally, we've actually concluded with a technical report in the IT office or department as well. Okay. Yes, we would like to wish you a wonderful day and very productive week ahead, because definitely the week has just started now. For the because technology is based in Qatar, and then from there we're actually very much running this particular webinar. Okay, so in that regard, may you all enjoy some great health, and we wish you all continued success with the Copilot. The ones that are using the Copilot, yes, keep going forward with it. The rest of you, yes, do your best to convince your management in order to bring over the Copilot within your workplace. Once again, thank you so much for being a part of this journey. Hope that you have enjoyed this timing spent with me and my organization, and I'll leave you with peace and blessings. Yeah, Pacific, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Everyone, thank you. Peace and blessings indeed to you and your families. Pacific, thank you so much to appreciate it. Yes, Salah, it was very interesting. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for attending the webinar. Moza, thank you very much as well. Okay. At some point in time, pardon for not zooming in that part, but obviously you've seen that the focus was not actually into that toggle thing within the Copilot chat, but of course into the utilization of it. So thank you very much for understanding. And Sarah, thank you as well. Appreciate it. Everyone, peace and blessings to you and your families. Enjoy the rest of the day. Yes, have a good night. And of course, have a very productive week ahead. All the best.